Parte. Estamos grabando. Ok, grammatical hierarchy then. Grammatical hierarchy. Biver, another grammarian, says that crap. Okay. Grammatical units are meaningful elements which combine with each other in a structural pattern. Essentially, grammar is the system which organizes and controls these four meaning relationships. So with that in mind, we have some concepts, right? Like the very first of them is the one called grammatical units, if you take a look at it, right? Grammatical units. So yes, then grammar will have grammatical units. So there will be elements inside of grammar. Then these grammatical units will combine with each other in a structural pattern, therefore syntax. They are going to be combined in order to create the message. Therefore, essentially, grammar is the system which organizes and controls these four meaning relationships. Form, meaning. Therefore, grammar has to do with the form, how to structure, but also a little bit at least with the sense of meaning, how we're going to create a reference in our head or how to communicate, right? So that would be grammar for Biver, I would say. So, and I think this is a very good definition as well. So, this is the grammatical hierarchy. Basically, the grammatical hierarchy is the way we are going to divide language, right? And these are the units of language. The first unit of language is called morpheme, which is the smallest one, the tiniest one, morpheme. And on top of this hierarchy is the sentence, which is the biggest one. It is a hierarchy because one of these units is encountered inside of the one above. So, for example, morpheme is the smallest unit of meaning and form, and one or more morphemes together will create a lexeme, which is what you call word, right? Then a group of lexemes, or one lexeme or a group of lexemes, will create a phrase, right? A group of phrases, one or a group of phrases will create a clause, one or a group of clauses will create a sentence. So in the end, the idea is this. So in the end, the idea will be that the grammatical hierarchy is something, we might believe it is something like this, right? With the smallest unit, the morpheme, at the end of it. And then we will have the phrase. And then we will have the clause. Ah, no, crap, sorry. I made a mistake. Then we will have the lexeme. Then the phrase. Then the clause. And finally the sentence. This is called grammatical hierarchy. So basically, every single one linguistic item is made up of these elements. So for example, just give me a second. I'm working on this. So for example, crap. If I see a sign Stop. This would be a sign, a traffic sign. I would say that stop, the word stop, is one morpheme. I will explain you why later on. Easy. At the same time, it is one lexeme. As being a verb, then is a verb phrase. So it's one phrase. As being a verb phrase, then is a clause. And as being one matrix clause, then is a sentence. So in this example, stop can be considered to be every single one of the elements of the grammatical hierarchy because it is a special case. Okay. Now, I told you that language is being divided then into units. These units are called grammatical hierarchy. The grammatical hierarchy then is composed of 5 elements. These are the smallest one, the morpheme, the lexeme, the phrase, the clause, and the biggest one, the sentence. It is called a hierarchy because all these smaller elements are contained in the bigger ones, right? And the smallest one is the morpheme, and this is the one we're going to see now. Any questions so far? If you don't say nothing, I assume it is good. So morphemes. First of all, morphemes are the elements that are used in order to create lexemes. People call them words. Lexemes are words. So therefore, morphemes are the things that we're going to use to create words. Like for example, in the word unfriendly. In unfriendly, in the word unfriendly, in the word unfriendly, I can see 3 morphemes. How do I know that? Because they are the smallest, and this is something you must remember. A morpheme is the smallest unit with meaning and form. Therefore, they have a form, and that form has meaning. If I see unfriendly, I can see that there are, at least apparently, there are 3 different forms, right? The very first of them is friend, right? Can I say something smaller than friend, like for example, fry, free, something like that? Or F, y, R, like the sound. No, because those forms, they don't have any meaning, right? I can say end, but that will imply another totally different meaning. Therefore, it is a totally different word, right? Now, friend then cannot be divided into any other morpheme, right? Into any other smaller morpheme. Therefore, it is called free morpheme. What's a free morpheme? A free morpheme, it's a morpheme which has full meaning on its own, right? It has full meaning on its own. A free morpheme does not require any other element in order to be understood, right? Like for example, friend. I have friend, and then I activate that idea in my head, and then I don't need anything else. Therefore, that's the free morpheme. So I'm going to write down an arrow, and then I'm going to add F, M, free morpheme. Now, free morphemes, or this specific free morpheme is being accompanied by two other forms, right? An at the very beginning and then li at the very end, right? So and li. What happens if I say an with that form, right? With this form, not this one, because this is a free morpheme, right? But if I say this form, and I'm not saying anything, right? With a complete meaning, I will need something else in order to achieve the meaning. Therefore, an, it is not a free morpheme. It is something different. It is called a bound morpheme. It is called then a bound morpheme. This bound morpheme, it does not have doesn't have full meaning, right? It is a bound morpheme. So arrow down, bound morpheme, right? Well, bound morphemes can be of two different types. They can be prefixes or affixes. Prefixes or affixes. We're going to call them prefixes when they are encountered in front of the free morpheme. And we're going to call them suffixes when they are encountered after the free morpheme. Therefore, an is in front of the free morpheme, so it is a prefix. Prefix. Li is the very same idea. Li does not have a full meaning on its own, therefore it needs a free morpheme to be attached to, right? Therefore it's a bound morpheme. But this one is not a prefix because it is not in front of the free morpheme. This is after the free morpheme, therefore it's a suffix. Got it. ¿Algún problema hasta ahí, chicos?
Profe, ¿cómo es? Es que lo escribió usted, pero no lo entiendo. Está el prefixes y ¿cuál es el otro? Affixes.
Ah, perdón. Déjame arreglar eso. Déjame arreglar esto. Suffixes. Ay, déjame escribir. Oh, se fue a la vez esto, espérame. ¿Se ve? No sé qué dice. Eso. Suffixes. Suffix. Si está después del free morpheme. ¿Problema? ¿Alguien más? Este es el momento, si no avanzo. No. Ya. Okay, so we're going to go back. So morphemes are parts of words because they create words. For example, unfriendly, the one we're analyzing. Morphemes, there are free morphemes, and there are also some other ones called bound morphemes. Bound morphemes are also called affixes. Affixes. Bound morphemes are called affixes. And inside of these affixes or bound morphemes, we will encounter two. Prefixes if they are in front of the free morpheme, and suffixes if they are after the free morpheme. Therefore, this is like the summary. Stem is the other way in which we're going to call free morphemes. They can be called free morphemes or stem, right? So these stem morphemes, free morphemes, will be modified. I would say that word, modified, modificado. They will be modified by the usage of bound morphemes or affixes, right? So these modifications will create two other characteristics. The first of them is inflection and the other one is derivation. We will see them in the iPad. It's loading. Okay, so what happens if I see the word friend, right? Let's take, for example, the word friend. Friend, which is its word class? Which is its word class? This stuff is a noun, right? But what happens if I say unfriend? The result, it is not a noun, it's a verb, right? Now, what happens if I say unfriendly? The result, it is not a noun, nor a verb, it's an adverb. Therefore, the usage of this bound morpheme will create a change in the word class of the free morpheme, which is called derivation. This derivation means that the free morpheme will be derived into another word class. Therefore, li, it is not only a bound morpheme suffix, but it is also derivational. And then I just add the bound morpheme I'm talking to. Then I would say that an, which is a bound morpheme prefix, it is also creating a change inside of the free morpheme, because friend is a noun, but unfriend is a verb. Therefore, that prefix is deriving the free morpheme into another word class. So an is about morpheme prefix derivational as well. And then I just have to add the prefix. Then the free morpheme, it is completed. So I'm just going to add the free. Oh, it is difficult with this pencil. Friend, it says friend. Therefore, derivation is one of the two different results that we're going to obtain by adding bound morphemes to a free morpheme, right? Derivation. ¿Preguntas con derivation o avanzo?
¿Cuál entonces era la relación entre Steam y derivation?
¿La relación entre, perdón?
Es que en el Power aparecía Steam, Inflection and Derivation. ¿Cuál es la
Sí.
relación entre...?
Es que el free morpheme o Steam, al momento de ser afectado por un bound morpheme, podría crearse una nueva forma. O sea, se generan unos features, y estos features son derivation, inflection o compounding. Puede ser también entre paréntesis, muy entre paréntesis. La relación entonces es que el stem es el free morpheme, que al momento de colocarle un bound morpheme se va a producir inflection o derivation.
Ya, gracias.
¿Ya? Ok. ¿Alguna otra pregunta antes de avanzar? Estamos entonces, avanzo. On the other hand, I might have this. I have that lexeme, the lexeme toys, right? Toys, toys, toys. And I can see that it is composed of two different morphemes, right? The very first of them is toy, which is a free morpheme, right? And the other one is S. Well, S, that S is about morpheme, I know that, because it doesn't have a full meaning on its own. Then I also know it is a suffix, because it is after the free morpheme. But toy is a noun, and toys is still a noun. Therefore, it doesn't derive into any other word class. Therefore, it is just inflected. It is just inflected. And it receives that symbol, Z1. Why? Well, basically, because Z1 means plural. Are there any other Zs? Yeah, there are two more. I also have Z2, which means third person singular in present simple. And I also have Z3, which means genitive case. Which most people call possessives. Okay, so this is just Z1 because of it is just a plural. Right? Are there any other? Yeah, there are others like ED1 or ED2, but we're going to talk about that later on. Later on. So toys. ¿Alguna duda de esto antes de avanzar?
Profe, inflection, ¿qué significaba?
Inflection is to add a characteristic without changing the word class.
Ya. Gracias.
Okay. Like, for example, what happens if I do this? Or woman. Men is a irregular plural. We know that, right? It is composed of man and then a plural. Therefore, this contains two different morphemes. One free morpheme and the other one is a bound morpheme, suffix, inflectional, Z1. The same with all the rest of the irregular plurals. Okay, let's see some other one. Like, for example, the verb runs. In the verb runs, then I can see two different morphemes. One free morpheme, run itself, and the other one is a bound morpheme. It is after, therefore is a suffix. Run is a verb, runs is still a verb, therefore is inflectional. And Z2, because this is the S that belongs to the present simple, right? The same with poles, right? We have the free morpheme pole, and we have the bound morpheme, suffix, inflectional, Z3, right? That's a possessive. In fact, it is called a genitive. Okay, it's a genitive, therefore it has a Z3. Any questions so far about this? No? Ok, vuelvo en un minutito, dame un segundo.
¿Cómo le digo que no entendí nada?
Yo no entendí.
No, sí entendí. Solamente que lo de men, como que no caché mucho. Como que no entendí. O sea, what? No sé cómo explicar lo que no entendí. Sorry.
Ya, volví. Entonces, ¿alguien tiene alguna pregunta de esto antes de avanzar?
Profe. En men, el bound morph, no. Como el BM,
Bound morpheme.
no entendí. Bound morphing.
Bound
No
morpheme.
sé. Bound morphing. No entiendo por qué va ahí si es una palabra sola.
Porque es un plural.
Claro, verdad, ya. Gracias, verdad.
So it's going to be the same with every single one of the irregular plurals. All of them will contain inside of them a Z1 anyway. Okay, any other question before I move on?
La numeración de la Z, que sea 1, 2 o 3, va a ser siempre esa la descripción que está arriba, que sea plural, que sea persona singular. Siempre va a ser la misma, ¿cierto?
Sí.
Ya. Okay.
Any other question? No? Ok. Ya. Entonces, esa era la versión for dummies. Ahora veamos la versión un poquito más en serio. Eso en su cuaderno, chiquillos. Necesito el análisis de eso. Reconsiderations. Unos 3 minutos, no es tan largo. Escríbalo en su cuaderno, lo hace. ¿Listo? Ya, lo vamos a revisar. Entonces, esto me ha parecido un ejercicio de prueba. Reconsiderations. Muy probablemente en la prueba diga provide a morphological analysis for the following lexemes, right? So, lo primero que voy a hacer en esta cosa es buscar el free morpheme. Tiene que haber uno adentro, sí o sí. Este free morpheme debe ser la palabra más pequeña con sentido completo que pueda obtener de acá. Entonces vio reconsiderations, claramente ese es el plural de reconsideration, y creo que reconsider también existe, y consider también existe, pero consi no existe, y there no existe. Así que consider should be our free morpheme. Consider. Reconsider, therefore bound morpheme. Prefix, right? Consider. I consider this. I reconsider. Son verbos, siguen siendo verbos, así que no es inflectional. Porque no cambia la categoría. Y su forma es re. Vamos. Consider. Tengo la duda con una palabra. Considerate. ¿Existirá o lo estaré inventando?
Es un adjetivo, ¿no?
Vamos a verlo, vamos a verlo. Vamos a verlo. Estoy compartiendo mi pantalla. Estoy compartiendo mi pantalla y ahora vamos a nuestro mejor amigo que va a ser Cambridge Online Dictionary. Cambridge Online Dictionary. In Cambridge Online Dictionary, reconsiderate. Pero sí existe considerate. Adjective, maravilloso, sí existe entonces. Vamos entonces a nuestro ejercicio. Entonces, considerate, considerate, y aquí me sale un bound morpheme que se le pega a consider, por lo tanto es un suffix. Y consider is a verb y considerate is an adjective. There's a change, therefore it's derivational. And its form is like that. Then I have this another one, considerate, consideration, which is another bound morpheme. It is at the back of it. So, reconsider is a verb. Reconsiderate would be something like an adjective, right? Now, reconsideration is a noun, so there is another change, therefore derivation. And here I add this. Finally, I've got this S at the very end, reconsideration, singular, reconsiderations, plural. Therefore is a bound morpheme, suffix, inflectional, Z1. And that's it. ¿Alguna duda?
Sí, cuando se hace estos análisis también se tiene que considerar como la forma en que podría conjugarse, porque cuando usted buscó en el diccionario, como que en verdad me perdí un poquito en eso. Como la palabra
Lo que
consider.
hacemos es lo siguiente, mira. es tomar, primero se busca el free morpheme, ¿ya? Luego de eso se intenta avanzar con el free morpheme en todas las formas posibles para saber cómo varió la palabra. En este caso el free morpheme era consider, pero reconsider sí existe. Entonces, re sería un bound morpheme prefix inflected. Luego tomamos el otro, consider, y avanzamos hacia el otro lugar. Considerate. Considerate es un adjective, entonces hay un cambio. Por lo tanto, ate sería un bound morpheme suffix derivational para crear considerate. Luego tendríamos consideration, shun, right? Entonces, de considerate, que es un adjective, cambiamos a consideration, que es un noun. Therefore, shun would be a bound morpheme suffix derivational y shun at the end. Finally, considerations is a plural form, therefore it's just inflected Z1. And that's the way in which we're going to do it. No sé si con eso resolví su duda.
Sí, o sea, la mía sí.
Ya, perfecto. Perfecto. ¿Alguna otra duda de alguien más antes de seguir avanzando? No, estamos pulentos, entonces avanzamos. Bueno. Ya, y morphemes, y lexims. Espera, alguien me escribe. Se va a cortar. Sí, sí, gracias. Cortamos aquí y para hablar de lexims. Mando inmediatamente el link